Welcome to the Up Arrow podcast with William Harris, featuring top business leaders sharing strategies and resources to get to the next level. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everyone, I'm William Harris. I'm the founder and CEO of Element and the host of the Up Arrow podcast, where I feature the best minds in e-commerce to help you scale from 10 million to 100 million and beyond as you up arrow your business and your personal life. Most e-commerce brands don't actually have customers. They have temporary access to people, as long as Meta or TikTok allows it. And the second costs go up, algorithms change, or attribution breaks, that customer base disappears. Today's guest believes that's not just inefficient, it's existentially dangerous. Ross Correia is the co-founder and CEO of Reactiv. He's a former Shopify enterprise leader, Forbes 30 under 30, and someone who has lived through the hard version of building e-commerce. We're going to talk about why most funnels are fundamentally broken, why brands keep renting instead of owning them, and why you should rethink your mobile apps. We'll also get into the uncomfortable stuff, betting the house, selling personal stock to make payroll, building culture before product, and why irrational optimism might be the only real advantage founders have. Ross, welcome to the Up Arrow podcast.
Hey, William, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. I listened to a couple of the great people come before me, and I was honored that you were, able to have me on here. I'm excited.
Yeah, likewise. We've got a lot of good stuff that I'm excited to get into. I do want to give a shout out to the guy who introduced us, Jay Myers, founder of Bold Apps, his friend, previous guest on the pod. Jay, thank you very much for making this intro.
Oh, Jay's a legend. I've known Jay for many, many years, back when I was at Shopify, and one of the few people that I hold very, very high. I see him every now and then, and I've learned some of the best life lessons from Jay. He knows what I'm talking about. Vegas, shop talk, great story by the bar, but we'll have to save that one for another time.
I don't know. I kind of want to get into that maybe. We'll see. You let me know if it's one we can share later on tonight or not. The other thing that we share, which we'll get into that I appreciate, is Jay, myself, and you. We all had paper routes as kids, and I think that's just a fun way to start building up that entrepreneur journey as a very young kid.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually that's such an interesting anecdote. I would love to know. Everyone should now put this on their LinkedIn. I'm going to go online after and put paper route in there so then we can search by these people, because there must be some lesson or something that you learn at least. Well, where are you based out of?
Minnesota right now, but I was in Ohio when I was a paper boy.
Okay, I mean, both sound awful to be a paper boy.
Yeah, that's true. You're up north though too, aren't you?
I'm up in Toronto, Canada,
yeah.
And I remember those days. It was minus 30 degrees, and
exactly.
These are kids. You have kids as well, right? Will?
I do. Yep.
I've got two young kids, and they're not going to do the paper route. They should, but it's a lot of work for the parent too. I feel like the parent has to help. And when I was a kid, the last thing I wanted to do was go outside, minus 30, walk up and down the street with an IKEA bag on my shoulder with all the papers and just throwing them out. It was the toughest job. But and I don't think I had an iPod or anything back then. And you just listen to the sound of nothing while you're doing this paper route. It was something changed at that point in my life. I believe it.
I really do think that you're onto something. I think the no iPod is maybe part of it, right? It's you just had to come up with ideas in your mind as you just, wandered around the neighborhood. So
when I'm older, I'm going to start a mobile app company.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I have one interruption and then I want to get into the good stuff here. This episode is brought to you by Element. Element is an award-winning advertising agency optimizing e-commerce campaigns around profit. In fact, we've helped customers get acquired, with the largest one selling for nearly $800 million and one that IPO'd. You can learn more on our website at element.com, which is spelled ELUMYNT.com. Okay, Ross. If a $30 million brand stopped paid ads tomorrow, how many of them would still survive 12 months later?
You probably count them on both hands. It's incredibly tough. I mean, we speak to so many companies, and I've started Reactiv now, 2.5 years ago, to solve this problem. But I've been in the space for about 10 years. I used to own my own brand. I've owned multiple brands. And embarrassingly so, we've all been fueled by Meta ads or TikTok ads or some sort of social media ad, Snapchat, et cetera, whatever clicks. And you get so reliant on that machine. And yeah, I think it's horrible. You're just renting your customer. You're praying that they come back. You're praying that they convert. When in reality, you just keep running ads to the same people over and over and over again. And so, when I was talking with Zach about starting Reactiv, it's like we have this idea of what's going on out there, and we talk to so many people, and everyone's just okay doing it. Everyone's like, yeah, we're just going to keep doing it. And we were like, there's got to be a better way here. And so we kind of went back to basics, and we're like, well, everyone's on their iPhone. They're all scrolling from 9 o'clock at night to 1 a.m. How do we capture those customers? How do we create a solution to better engage with those customers? And instead of having to rent that customer, you can now take a customer who's looking at an ad and take them into your highest retention channel, your mobile app. And so it sounded like a pipe dream 2.5 years ago. And here we are, fast forward, things are going really, really well.
Everybody loves to say build owned channels, but practically, why do brands keep failing at it?
Oh, that's such a good question. Oh, man. Why do brands keep failing at it? I mean, I don't think anyone wants to fail at it. They're not doing it on purpose. Sure. I think it's just using the tools that are available. And I think, and a bad side to this is, well, I'm thinking about it on my own, in my own self here about we set these goals for ourselves, whether it's for the business, whether it's personal goals, and you're held accountable to those goals. And sometimes those goals are just numbers and figures. Like, it's like, hey, we need our ROAS to be a certain number. We need our CAC to be a certain number. And you think that by hitting that, everything else will get fixed. And you think and think over and over again on how do we adjust this number? How do we get this number lower? That's going to solve all of our problems. And we do it and nothing's fixed. You're still where you were yesterday. And then you continue to lower those numbers to a point that it doesn't make sense anymore. And you're still hoping for change. We do it over and over again and nothing happens. And so, I think we're here to try and break that cycle. But it's a cycle that I think everyone falls into, not just in business, just in life, of trying to over-optimize and just, that goalpost just keeps moving. And when you're working with some of these ad platforms, you can't predict what they're going to do. And one day you'll wake up and your campaign's going to be on fire. And the next morning, fire in a good way,
Sure. Okay. Yeah. It could be on fire in a bad way too.
And that's exactly it. You don't know which side of the coin you're going to get. You'll wake up the next day and it's on fire in a bad way. Yeah. And so it's incredibly inefficient. It's so hard to predict. I think everyone just has this thinking that it's like, we're just going to keep going. We're just going to keep going. We're going to figure it out. It's going to change, but like, it's a necessary evil that we have to do. And I think some of the best brands out there are really focused on retention, right? How do we get that customer back to our website? How do we create some sort of compelling offer to get that customer to give us their email or their phone number or install our mobile app? And then we can build a proper relationship with that customer. Whereas, we all know the cycle, the acquisition cycle. We run ads, customer comes to the website, 90% of them drop off. It's broken. It's the worst.
And building that relationship is the key. And you called this out just a little bit ago. You want to get them into your mobile app. And I'd say that there's a lot of benefits. Let's just go back to early mobile apps for e-commerce. Maybe
I don't want to go back there. It was the worst.
Okay. Intellectually, let's go there for a second so we can move forward. Intellectually, though, on this, maybe you got 1%, 5%, 10% into your mobile app. And that's fine, but then it's like the app isn't updated the way that it needs to be. It became really not that much better than actually just going to the website and shopping. And so I feel like we've tried mobile apps before, and it's just become like I don't even usually talk about mobile apps at all with any of my customers anymore. What are you guys doing differently that helps to kind of fix that?
Yeah, and I think what happened is we've all, and maybe not we all, what's the demographic of the people that listen to your podcast, William? Do you know?
Well, okay, demographics, psychographics, right? Like, as a general rule, these are e-commerce founders between $10 and $100 million. That's who we go after. That's who I've seen most of the comments come from, things like that. There are definitely, let's just say, e-commerce executives, maybe of some of the larger brands and things like that, because we've had Under Armour on and stuff like that. But most of these are going to be marketers who are trying to grow e-commerce stores.
Okay, nice. I think everyone that's listening has probably been around for the first iPhone to release. I say
Sure.
that, and that's so timely because I just had lunch with like a 17-year-old, and I don't think he was alive for the launch of the first iPhone, which
Oh,
is insane.
sure.
But he's running a successful brand and like he's crushing it, but like I don't think he's lived through that yet. And so when I think about like 2008, I was like a kid, I was in high school, I was doing the paper route, I was working at Kumon because I was a Kumon kid, as every immigrant
Nice.
kid is. Of course, my oldest son is in Kumon now, he's amazing. But I remember when that first iPhone came out and everyone said, oh my God, this is the future, this is the greatest thing ever. And very quickly, I think it was a year after Apple launched the App Store. And everyone was like, oh my God, we have to launch an app. And it didn't matter what you were building, whether you were building a dating app. I don't even think dating apps were a thing back then. I think it was like
Sure.
commerce brands or Flappy Bird and these types of games. Everyone was like, let's build a mobile app. And like you said it yourself, we all install those apps because we were told, okay, download this app. It's going to be great. It's going to be a shopping app. And we sat there for like 6 minutes on Wi-Fi because that's how long it used to take back in the day. And then we'd see our 4 gigabyte iPhone space deplete, and there was like a gig. It was so tough. And you would do that, and you would install this app, and you were like, "Wait, this is just the website. Why did I spend all this time getting this?" And then they would blast you with notifications. You get like 20 notifications at a time. And I think it just left an awful taste in everyone's mouth. And so a lot of the brands that did that were then like, oh my God, app was a nightmare. I never want to think about it ever again.
Right.
And I think it's very much stayed that way, but it's gotten a lot better. And when I think about like the big brands, I think of like Zara and Lululemon and H&M and some of these really big brands, Revolve, that do mobile app really, really well. Or Starbucks, for example, airlines. There are certain companies that do it well, and it's kind of brought it back. And it's like, okay, if we can get someone into our mobile app, we know that we're going to retain that customer. They're going to be the first to know about our newest offers. They're going to get a notification when that pair of jeans they were looking at comes back in stock. And you start to cultivate these incredible shoppers. You start to build this VIP segment. And I think there's a lot of misinformation and myths about your best customers will automatically install your mobile app. I don't think that's true. I think it is to a certain degree. And, there is a level of self-selection where those customers that do love your brand may install your mobile app, but I do think they're not going to stick around if your mobile app's bad. And so what we're seeing is when you have that mobile app, when you're doing things right, when you have a proper strategy, you're able to now take an audience and build this like VIP segment. And the LTVs are so much higher, that customer shopping much more often than someone on web. You have a free way to send them notifications to engage with them. And so I think, are you still following, Will? Are you aligned that like when all those things, when the stars align, that sounds lovely?
100%.
Okay, perfect. And so that is the pipe dream though. That is like, if everything goes right, that's where we'll be. And so when we focused on Reactiv and kind of bringing it back to your question about how do we simplify this for people? How do we remove all the friction? So when Zach and I started the company and Mike, we really focused on app clips, a technology that Apple released over COVID. So in 2020, 2021, it was really focused on travel. And it was like one of those times, when Apple releases things, it usually goes well. Apple Vision Pro. But sometimes they release things and it doesn't hit. And that was app clips. Because in 2020, COVID was going around, no one traveled. And so it just became this like piece of technology that was kicked to the side that nobody implemented, or no one thought, how do I apply this to my business? And so when we built Reactiv, we took app clips and we said, we're going to make this the forefront of the mobile app. We're going to remove the need to go and manually install an app and sit there and wait for it to install and go through an onboarding flow. We're going to take people right into that channel as soon as they click on an ad on their phone, as soon as they scan a QR code at your retail store, as soon as they get to a physical location and the iPhone can tell they're at your store, we're going to surface this to them automatically. And it's just been transformational for the business. It's been transformational.
That's huge.
Yeah. And with the companies that we're talking to, of really changing their perception of, hey, this app doesn't have to be this clunky thing that people don't want to deal with. We're building like this sexy, super light version that is easier to get to than a website, which is really, really cool. And I'm sure we'll dive into how that all works, but that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, okay. So one of the biggest frustrations that I think a lot of people have with mobile apps is that friction. And it sounds like that's been largely addressed. Um, One of the others might be, let's just say, how do we make sure it doesn't become spam 2.0?
Yeah, yeah. How do we make sure that people don't abuse it? How do we
Yeah.
make sure, it doesn't turn into the next SMS? And so, I mean, I think those tools already exist. So today with Apple, with the iPhone, you have your do not disturb modes and things like that. Like
Hmm.
we can't magically break through that. And what we do as well is, as a company, we limit the amount of notifications our merchants can send. I know that sounds like really counterintuitive, but we have a limit there so that we can't let our merchants spam and use this, annoyingly and bother
Nice.
people. We've also built AI tools now where if we detect, hey, William is not liking these messages, then William's not going to get messages about price drops. William only cares about new product releases.
Mm.
We can also see what's really cool. And I think in the age of AI now, we don't have to hire a million people to analyze all the data and do this, but we can say, hey, William, he's got kids, or we don't know William has kids, but he never clicks on his notifications until 8 p.m. And by that time, we're like the 15th notification there. Let's not spam him during the day. Let's send it to William at 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. because we don't have to follow the SMS laws where you can't, this quiet hours. So
Sure.
we're being very, very creative. We're using data. We're using AI to kind of hit people at the right time. I think that's really important.
Well, that's very important because I feel like we see that in other areas too, where anytime that you have the right message at the right time, it makes a difference. The right message at the wrong time, wrong message at the right time doesn't work. Right message at the right time. What are some ways that, because you mentioned like that this is better, right? It's not just the website. What are some ways that make this a better experience than it just being, an app version of the website?
Yeah, that's a great question too. I mean, I think there's really two camps here. So one is you really want to provide as much value to that customer as humanly possible. And so some small things that we do is when someone opens one of our app clips or Reactiv clips, we know what the location is of that customer. And so for a lot of our brands, we can now say like, hey, this product's available nearby at one of the stores. And we use location access, which I think is really, really unique. Another thing that we do is, and you can only do this in an app, is give people the TikTok like experience. I hate to use this, but it's like being able to provide lots and lots of video content in a smooth package where people can seamlessly scroll through it. And so a lot of our
Mm.
brands will take UGC content and they'll take TikTok style video, put that into the clip and create these like shoppable video, shoppable clips to really kind of change how that customer shopping. I think we're all a little bit brainwashed in the best way possible. And I say this as being someone who, was at Shopify, who's owned many e-com brands, but Shopify has distilled shopping down to a homepage, a collection page, a PDP, cart, checkout. And that's why it works really well because we're so used to it. It's so streamlined. But I think in the clip, we can be more creative. We can have a better element of video content, turn it into what feels like a mobile app instead of what feels like a website, and then have shopping be a part of that, tie in the notifications to bring people back. I think we can be very creative there. So that's a big thing that we try to do. But if you also just compare, and I hate to do this, but it's true, if you compare apples to apples of just, hey, let's push this user to the website, let's push this user to the app clip, the conversion is roughly the same. I think ours is a little bit better inside of the clip, which is huge. But we have a huge benefit of around 15% of those people will install the app automatically without you giving out a
Mm.
discount code, a welcome discount. And that customer is now going into that self-selecting bucket, whatever it is, where they're shopping much more often. They're making their first, second, third, fourth purchase in the app. And you're creating a longer life cycle and flywheel by doing it. So there's almost no con to doing it. Even if you don't have a massive creative team and you want to do video and content, I think the benefit is just still there.
So we run ads. That's the big part of what we end up doing for people. So if we're running ads, we can either send them to the home page, we can send them to the PDP page, or we can send them to this app clip, which is likely going to lead towards, let's just say, 15% downloads of the app, with no loss, right? Because you're saying you're going to get basically the same conversion rate, maybe better, right? Potentially, but at the very least, you're not losing anything. You're only gaining something, which is a little bit more stickiness of your best customers.
That's exactly it. That was super well put.
Hmm. That is interesting. Okay.
And
Let's go. Go ahead.
Right? I think everyone in their mind is like, oh my God, to get, and we've all, I mean, I'm sure you guys do it at Element too. You have brands that have mobile apps that are like, I
Mhm.
want to run a campaign to drive mobile app installs. And we're all praying, please don't, like the CAC is
Yeah.
ridiculous, don't
We.
do it.
Yep.
That's been the hardest segment to get those people into the mobile app. And for us to now say, hey, let's just piggyback off of your conversion ads, and now we're going to drive installs as well at like an unprecedented rate, I think is one of the biggest unlocks that even we as a company, we didn't think that was going to happen. And like a cool anecdote, we have a brand, actually you know the brand. I think you interviewed the founder. His name is Al Doan from Missouri
Yep.
Star. Incredible founder. I've known him for many, many years. He's been on Reactiv for a long time now. And in the last 3 months, I won't give away the exact numbers because those are his, but he had 2 times the amount of installs just from app clips than any sort of welcome campaign or any type of campaign he had driving
Wow.
people to the app. And that was all for free. For free.
That's
Insane.
huge. So, okay. That's getting them in there. That makes the most sense to me. And that makes it the most sense on why I would want to do something like this. Because you're right. A mobile app install campaign, MAI. I don't think I've done one of those in at least a couple of years for an e-commerce brand. I will say we do have some that were, but that's just because the entire company is a mobile app. Like that's what it is. And so we do those. But for e-commerce, I can't remember the last time we ran one because of that exact reason. I could usually get a better AOV, a better lifetime value over just getting them to the website to purchase. But to your point, it seems like that's kind of shifting on its head now.
Yeah, I think it's, we're really trying to change the way that people think about it. We're working closely with partners, great agencies, to really just show people that one, this technology exists, and two, I think the results are incredible. And, a lot of the brands that we're working with are already seeing these results and getting a head start on what that looks like, what this next chapter of commerce might look like.
You've given me some hints about some good ways that we could use this. If somebody was going to sign up, somebody was to use this, what are 3 hacks or optimizations that you're like, please, please, please do these things? It will just make it so much better.
In terms of which, the mobile app, the ads, which side?
Yeah, well, on the mobile app side.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're running a mobile app and you're not using clips, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot, because you're probably giving away some sort of welcome discount or some sort of incentive to get that customer to install. I don't know. Are you seeing that as well? But that seems like the broad strategy, regardless if you're Air Canada or you're
Yep.
Tom's Shoe Company. That just seems like the number one strategy, or you're giving away some sort of freebie. And so I think even when we look at that, why do people do that? If people are still on the fence about mobile app in 2026, why do these big companies still give those types of huge welcome discounts? I was just at Nike the other day. I was buying a pair of shoes, and I got to the cash and I was ready to pay. And she goes, hey, do you have the Nike app? And I was like, oh no. And she's like, if you download the Nike app right now, I'll give you 15% off this order. And like, I'm at the checkout with my credit card out, ready to pay. I think it was like $130. You're going to take away $20 there just so I install this mobile app. Like, there must be some sort of huge value in there for the brand, right? So as a brand, you get all this data, all this information, but you're always giving something away to get that customer in there. I think now with clips, we've really, really solved that by removing the friction to get someone to use the mobile app. And, to kind of draw a parallel, because I'm sure everyone's listening and they're having all types of different things going on in your life, where you're buying a house, you're buying a car, or you're trying on a piece of clothes. It's almost like try before you buy, where you're taken to the mobile app without any friction and you experience it and you go, oh, this is actually really nice. Like, this is some nice content. Well, this content's not on the web. Oh, this is like really seamless. I just got to check out in 2 seconds and I could just use Apple Pay. Like, this is lovely. And then you make the purchase and it goes, oh, well, if you want to track that purchase, install the mobile app. And you're like, oh, well, that's a no-brainer. You just really simplify the flow, take all the friction out of it without having to sacrifice that discount. I think is like a huge thing. So that's kind of benefit number one, or thing to do number one that I would definitely recommend. I think thing to do number two would be to really have a mobile app strategy. So a lot of companies will just say like, hey, I'm launching the mobile app because my CMO or my CRO or someone told me to launch the mobile app. And like, I just want to get it out there and we're not going to promote it or talk about it. It's not gonna work out well if you do that. And I think the best customers that we work with, the best brands that we work with, they have a strategy and they go, hey, we're going to launch this mobile app and we're going to do some sort of discount or some sort of incentive for shopping inside of here. So maybe they're going to receive, their package early, and maybe that's going to be included for. Maybe they're going to get an hour early to access the latest drops. And in the Shopify world that we live in, that's so easy to do from the admin. You're just publishing it to a different sales channel. Like a lot of that stuff that used to be a nightmare is so easy now. It's just about having that strategy and, hey, I'm going to post this on it's such a small thing, but hey, let's post this on our social media channels on Instagram and tell people this app even exists. And if you do that and you do the absolute bare minimum, we usually see brands hover around 20% of their revenue coming from their mobile app without really doing anything. Like 1, 2, 3, 3 small steps and you're doing it. The brands that take it much forward, we'll use Al as an example because I love using Al as an example. He's closer to like 30, 40% of his revenue. And that's huge. And he's sending push notifications. He's getting customers early access to products. He's posting content inside of his mobile app. He's got this new channel. They've got a whole YouTube channel where his mom, Jenny, they do these quilting tutorials. You can now access that directly from the mobile app, and you get a notification every time Jenny drops a new video, and he's building this community. It's so cool. And it's really lovely to see these like brands really just take a full mobile strategy to it and then just start to see huge rewards. And that 30%, that 40%, there's still a massive double-digit incremental lift on top of that. That's not just like, hey, I moved these customers from web to mobile app. When you tie in the clips to it, when you tie in all the different things you're doing, it's so net positive. So, we're doing our best to spread the word.
I like the idea of even being able to say some type of notification about the new YouTube video or something like that. I feel like if it's an SMS, the likelihood that you want to spend the money on an SMS to announce you've got a new video is very, very low, right? But this gives you an opportunity to have like those other relationship building type events to be a part of. Speaking of the notifications then, from a customer's perspective, in the customer's mind, what do you think the psychological difference is between getting an email, getting an SMS, and getting an app notification?
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be interesting. When do you check your emails, Will?
I mean, so this is different because I'm a marketer who's on my computer with my multiple monitors all day long. So I check them all the time. My personal email? Yeah, probably... maybe a little bit early in the morning to make sure there's nothing there for the kids for their school or something. And then, but that's a quick scan. And then probably, later in the evening once I'm done with work.
Yeah, there's no canceled school bus, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
I'm kind of in the same boat as you. And I think, I'm always on my computer too. So I'm always checking my work email. I live by my work email. It's scary.
For sure. Same, I know.
But I'm also very good, and you might do this too. If something comes in from a work email and it's not work related, I unsubscribe. I put it spam. Like I get rid of that. I keep it very, very clean. Otherwise I can't stay focused. I don't have an EA yet. So I try and manage it as best I can. But in my personal email, I usually check it in the morning and then I forget about it. And I probably check it in the evening once. And so there's just not a lot of time, or, does it matter if a brand I'm shopping with, say Apple, I've got my iPhone here, they send me an email at 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. It doesn't matter. It's just going into a box. And I'm also seeing like 50 different types of sales in copy. I mean, I'm sure you guys do some sort of like outbounding as well. We've all thought about what does that subject line need to be. It's so competitive to fight in that email box that I think it's incredibly hard. I think, if you really need a customer to love your brand, to get them to go to that email, find you, come back, SMS is different. SMS, I check all my SMS if it comes through at any point. But I do the same thing. If I get an SMS from a company and I don't know who it is, I reply STOP immediately. I'm like, leave me alone. This is my phone. I want to talk to my wife.
Completely.
I want to talk to my friends. Don't bother me.
It's my least favorite channel. I hate SMSs from brands. Yeah.
Yeah. And so push notifications now. I feel like push notifications are very different for some reason, and maybe Will, correct me if I'm wrong, or if you feel differently, but when I get a push notification, like I don't, do you swipe away every notification? Do you keep it clear or do you just let it run on?
I let it run on.
Me too. And so
Yeah.
like if I get something I'm just not interested in, I either leave it or I swipe it away. So I don't really care
Yeah.
if I get a push notification or not. I do think the ones that work well though, so my phone is usually on DND from like 9 to
Same.
7ish, and like I don't want to be bothered. But in
Yep.
the evening, if I get a notification and it's like, oh, I looked at these pair of jeans, it's a Lightning McQueen pair of pants for my kid that my wife sent me that I was supposed to buy that I did buy. I'm like, oh shit, I better go buy this now. Or I was supposed to buy this birthday gift and I didn't. So I think that's really where we're seeing a lot of traction is when notifications are sent between 9 p.m. and 1 a.m. They have a huge hit rate where people are clicking into those, they're going in and they're getting to it. So I think it's really about just finding the right person at the right time, being able to use that data. And one thing that we have that is that data. So we can tell when someone clicks on that notification, what time of day it is, where they go in the app clip or the mobile app, what they're doing in there. We have so much zero party data for every one of these brands. And now we run that through the AI machine and it just lets the marketer go automatic. It lets it run by itself. It's so powerful. So I think we're seeing it work really well now, but I think we're just scratching the surface on what good looks like there. I think in like the AI era, and like we have to talk about it, right?
That's where I'm going next. So just go ahead and get into it.
It wouldn't be right if we didn't talk about AI in 2026 on a podcast. But I think we're really scratching the surface, you know, and we speak to so many brands and like, we collect all this data. And I'm like, so what do you do with this data in Snowflake? And they're like, well, we warehouse the data.
Yeah.
What are you doing with it?
We pay for it.
Yeah, we're paying for it. We don't have time, but like our Snowflake bill, oh my God, it's insane. Well, it's like, well, you know, AI is so good at taking this unstructured data and finding things from it. So now with mobile apps, you know, previously all the event data, all the information you would get, but then you're like, holy shit, who's going to like look at all this data and figure out how to market to each single customer? With AI, you know, we're building an AI tool that'll just do it for you. So this super high data rich channel, we basically will learn the nuances of William. Do you use Uber Eats, by the way, William?
Not that often. Where I'm at, it's not that big of a thing. If you order it, it's going to get here in like an hour and a half. But
Oh, really?
I do like it when I'm in the cities.
I was gonna draw a parallel because I'm like, people listening, you know,
You can still draw a parallel. Most people won't get it.
I think Uber Eats is the best. Like we put our kids to bed at 7, and we've done this ever since the kids were born. And at like 7:02, like I'm sure I'll get one tonight. It's like Taco Tuesday, $18 at your house in 20 minutes, and we're like, okay, we have to get this. Like Uber knows us so goddamn well. That is where we're trying to get our AI and push notification engine to, and we want to do that for every single brand. Now think about what you could do with that information from your customer and that personalization like Uber. That is how you're going to build a meaningful long-term relationship with that customer over time. And I mean, we're not there yet. I think we're very close, but that's where we're going with all this. And I think the app clips, the app is just creating that flywheel of how do we build the best relationship with that end user.
We want that kind of personalization. I know that sometimes we've thought about that for giving up data and things like that, and there's a lot of data privacy laws, and those are good things. But we still want the personalization that would ultimately come from that. As human beings, we want somebody, even when we're talking to a human being, where it's just like, I want you to know me. Ask me a question as if we've actually had a conversation before, like not just like the same generic thing that you're going to say to every single other person. And so I think when an app has that capability in it, then you feel more emotionally connected to that brand. I'm sure there's some good psychology we could use there. Yeah. I'm not smart enough to know what it is, but I guarantee maybe it's raising your, what is the one chemical? Oxytocin. It's probably raising your oxytocin and creating more of an emotional bond now with that brand.
I think you like hit the nail on the head there. And I think what's cool too with the notifications is you don't have to write a massive email. Like we have a brand, and I think it's just one crazy, I shouldn't say that out loud, but he's one crazy guy, and he does all the notifications himself. And it's kind of like the messages you would send to like your wife or your husband or your spouse. And they're these like very simple push notifications, and they convert like crazy. And I'm like, what's the secret sauce? And he's like, I just don't take it too seriously. He's like, I just send quick notifications, and if people care, they care and they open it. And if not, then that's cool too. But it's like, and I think the equivalent on like the personal basis, and you just said this, is like, how many times have you been, I'm only saying this because I just came back from a sales conference, NRF in New York City, but you go to a conference and you have those conversations and you're just talking about the weather. That's kind of what email and SMS
Mm-hmm.
feel like to me. It's at a certain point, it's like, cool, you're running another another sale, cool, whatever. But it's like, if you just send me something weird from a push notification, or you're like, hey, I know you're in Seattle and it's raining right now. Hey, it's rainy right now. Check out these boots. That is gonna, and that's your notification. That's your copy. You don't have to come up with anything fancy. It just
Mm-hmm.
converts so much better.
I like sending things like that, like you said, from human being to human being, not overthinking things. I would say that's something I've been doing more of the last 2 or 3 years is trying to not overthink things. It's very easy in our space, I feel like, and maybe you feel this way too, because I grew up in like the growth hackers days, and so it's like everything is analyzed and we're hacking it. But the older I get, the more I realize I'm like, stop overthinking it. Just send it. Likely your gut reaction is a pretty good one. You might get into trouble a little bit here and there, but for the most part, you're able to walk back from things. But just start sending things like a human being.
Yeah, and like I totally agree, and I think we all just have I don't know if it's because of LLMs now, but the fatigue from just getting an
Mm.
email, or an SMS that is like a pair or like multiple paragraphs long. It's like, oh my god, I don't want to read this wall of text. And I say it from like the investor side of you too. Like, I'll just send to an investor like, "you in?" question mark, and like that email has the highest hit rate. Everyone's like, oh shit, like what's going on? And you talk to those people. I mean, you probably see them all the time. Like, they don't even say, "Hey, William," in the beginning of the email. It's just
Hmm.
exactly what it is. Thanks. And you probably respond to it very, very quickly. And it's like, how do we bring that level of simplicity, back?
Wow, Ross, that's a really great answer. It's clear that you are thinking this through very well. I don't know. I'm trying to sound like the AI right now in the way that it responds to you. Um, okay. At what point does automation stop feeling helpful and start feeling creepy then?
Oh, this is such a good question, too. And I think this is a little bit where there's two sides of the coin with the mobile app, because how many times have you had a private conversation, gone on Instagram, and the first ad is exactly what you were talking about?
Hmm.
It's so creepy. I don't know how it works. I don't think I'll ever know how it works. And I think that's going to get a lot scarier in the next couple of years as AI advances and personalization gets better and our phones know even more about us. Um, I think it's going to get a little creepier. Now, there's two sides to it. I mean, I kind of like it because usually it's right. And I'm like,
Right.
"Yeah, I do need that." Or like, "Oh, that is exactly what I was looking for." It's like, your For You page, like your For
Hmm.
You page knows you so well. Um, where does the line draw though? And so I think for me, and doing it on a platform level, and us working with customers in America and Europe and being able to follow all the laws and things like that, I actually think Apple, again, I don't know how Meta does this. I don't know how Instagram does it. If someone does, please reach out to me. Ross, Reactiv.ai. I really want to know what the secret sauce is. But I think inside of the mobile app and inside of the reactive mobile apps, we don't want to be creepy. We want it to have a level of personalization based on what you're doing inside of your app. And so there exists this thing called app tracking transparency,
Hmm.
which allows me to basically say, hey, you're William on Instagram, and now you're William inside of our mobile app. And then I'm going to get that information, I'm going to share it, and then I'm going to do something funky with it. We don't do that yet. I don't think we ever will do that. I mean, never say never. What we really try to do is we try and build a relationship of personalization based on what you do with that brand. So, for
Hmm.
example, if you're a customer who's bought for the seventh time with that brand, then I know you're a loyalty user. Your account's going to get tagged and it's going to be focused around different products and things like that. Whereas if you're a brand new user, I want your content to be about brand building. I want to tell you why I'm the best brand in the world. I want you to make your first, second, third purchase with me. And so we really focus on the individual relationship between the business, the merchant, and that customer, and not try and take in any of the noise outside, because I think that's the creepy part. Now, if you ask the merchant what they want, they're going to say, well, we want the creepy
Hmm.
part. Give us
Sure.
all the data, turn it up to 11. I think that again is where, as a platform, we have a bit of responsibility to kind of say, hey, I don't think this is the right thing to do. I think you're working with enough data here. I think, we can show you meaningful growth, meaningful change, meaningful numbers of the business that we don't need to get creepy and do those types of things. But I also just don't know how they do it, and I don't know how they get away with it. It's insane.
You're working with an MBA team, and when people hear that, they might assume, okay, great, marketing gimmick. What are you actually doing that most brands don't realize is possible, though, with them?
With who is that, sorry?
An MBA team?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's really, really exciting. So we have three big values for Reactiv this year. One is enterprise. And that's working with, incredible customers, really focused on scalability, performance, security. That's like top tier for us. The second is being where the customers are. So being at the retail stores, being in LLMs. So if you just search for, find me the best bamboo sheet set on your iPhone in ChatGPT, it'll be a Cozy Earth bamboo sheet set. When you click on it, it'll take you right into their mobile app without you ever installing it. It's incredible. We're really focused on that. And then the third piece is omni-channel. So retail. How do we take someone from an in-person, an in real life experience and give them a digital companion to what that thing is? So with the NBA team that we're working with, when you show up at the stadium, actually it happens before you show up at the stadium, when you get to the parking areas near the stadium, your iPhone will automatically show you the name of their app on your phone. You can open it and it'll tell you based on your ticket in your Apple Wallet, which parking garage you should go to, where the nearest spots are, how fast of a walk it'll take you to get to the gate.
That's very nice.
It's cool. When you get to the gate, then it says, hey, the game's about to start in 10 minutes. You should grab a seat. On your way there, there's all these different concession stands if you care. When you're in your seat, it says, hey, our team's winning. Do you want to order a jersey directly to your seat? You could do that. Hey, do you want to order a hot dog? Do you want to get a beer? All without ever opening a mobile app on your phone. And most people don't go to a basketball game multiple times a year unless you're a baller. Good for you if you do. I'm so jealous. Even though my Raptors are not the best team in the world, I would love to go all the time. But for most people, they want this ephemeral, like, oh, I can use this app now. I'm not installing it on my phone. I don't have to worry about deleting it. And when I leave the arena, I'm not going to get blasted about every game that's happening and tell me to come when I don't have money to buy another ticket. Like, that's just depressing. Leave me alone. And so we're creating these experiences now in retail, in real life. And there's really no limit to what we can do there, all powered through our Reactiv clips, which is really, really cool.
I can see this working really well for a lot of other brands then, like you said. Like, that's very experiential in and of itself, but now you can make it more experiential, even just going to, we were talking about one of the other podcasts I like doing. So I had a good conversation with Curtis Matzko, the founder of Portland Leather Goods. Very dynamic. One of my favorite episodes that I recorded because of just, I don't know, the way that he talks through some of his stories of his life and things like that. But he's going to open up a bunch of stores this year. Like, that's his big thing. And I can see where you're like, how could you take this now, make this not just like I'm going into this leather goods store, but now I can increase your experience while you're here, not just like the look, the feel, the smell, but we can increase your shopping experience as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't even have to be shopping. I know, like, we're very commerce focused. How do we give that customer a better experience, right? And so even one example that I love is like amusement parks. I just took my kids to an amusement park in the summer, and they still hand out the same pamphlet that they handed out when I was a kid. And they're like, this is the map, and this is where you go. It's like, that can be this digital companion. It automatically opens because we know you're there, and we can set these. They're not beacons, because beacons, you need a physical device. This is just being able to put down a pin in a map, and when someone gets to that pin, it automatically shows up on their phone. It's quite wild.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. How do we build really, really cool experiential events around that? And so we're also working with a really popular store. They usually have a lineup to get in. You usually put your name down. They call you. Now, when you get there, it's like, oh, do you want to check in? Okay, perfect. You can add your name to the list. You'll get a push notification when you're ready. Hey, while you wait for 30 minutes, here's some coffee shops nearby, and you can scroll through the catalog. So, like, really kind of building up that experience of what that can be, even on top of shopping, I think is going to be really, really big for us in 2026.
Yeah, it's just more of that blending online, offline, just whole customer experience. I want to talk a little bit about your founder journey, because there's some good stuff here. You and Zach have built multiple companies together. Why do partnerships fail more than ideas, and how have you averted those problems?
Yeah, great question. I think one of the hardest thing to do is find the best co-founders out there, and I think I found two incredible co-founders, my CTO Mike and Zach, who I've known for very very long. We both met working at Shopify, a decade ago, and we became friends back there. We started, I think, two agencies together. We worked at another company together. We were at Shopify together, and then we started Reactiv together. And so when we decided to start Reactiv, we had both just come up from another company building mobile apps. We were actually in this space, and we would always just complain to each other. We're like, this isn't the right way to do it, or like I don't think this is the right decision. And so we always had that little bit of a chip on our shoulder.
Sure.
And when we saw it at its best, we're like, oh my God, this can be amazing. Why isn't anyone doing this? Why are we not pushing this as a company? And so for us, when we left our last company to start Reactiv, it was very easy for us to say, like, hey, we've been talking smack about other people. Let's do this ourselves. Let's put the onus on us, and let's build a company the way we want to build it. Let's focus on the things that we know are going to do well from just being in this ecosystem for so long. And so when we started Reactiv, it was very much about building the best mobile app platform out there. We said, if you're and now we're working with like a dating company, and we're working with an NBA team, like that's insane for year two of any business. But when we started the business, we said, let's build the best mobile app solution for businesses and the best tool. But let's, like, 50-50 to that is, this must be the best experience for customers. If customers don't want to use these apps, it's never going to work well. And so when we started the company, we just set out and like listed out all the values, all the things that we really, really cared about. We already knew what it was like to work with each other through like good and bad, which I think really, really helped.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I don't know if you want me to go in the founding story immediately, but we had quite a wild journey when we started a Reactiv.
There are things that I want to ask you about. So if you're going to get into it, you told me that you hired for culture first, literally number one.
Yep.
Like,
always.
That's rare, special receipts. So like, why did that matter more than everything else?
Yeah. I think that was a really good learning from Shopify. And being at Shopify in those early days, culture was everything. And I remember working at the office till God knows what time of day. And those values that I learned from the company were just ingrained in my head. And I believed them. And I would sleep at the office sometimes. But I wouldn't care. I was like, I will live or die by this mission of this company. And I very much aligned with that. So when we were building Reactiv, it was very much trying to find those people that are going to care super deeply about this, that just have a passion for commerce, that want to see brands and merchants absolutely smash, want to build an experience that customers want to use, want to build at a company that was making just all the right choices and essentially hoping that like the money would follow. We were going with, let's build a great business. Let's focus on what we know will work, and the money will follow. And like that was very much even the founding story. When I started Reactiv, it was like, let's start building the best product. And so Zach and I are not engineers. Mike, our CTO, is. And so we brought Mike on board, and we're like, well, Mike, we got to start building. And like, we got to prove ROI immediately. And he's like, okay, I need like 6 engineers. And I was like, Mike, we're going to hire them right now. And like, we went out and we hired 6 of like the best engineers that we could hire.
Wow.
Some people that I've worked with in the past, a lot of people from Shopify. And so we hired these people, and I think we all didn't believe that we were going to be able to hire these people, because then I was like, oh, okay, we got to pay for these people. And I was like, no problem. I'm going to figure this out. We'll bootstrap it for like a payroll, and then we'll raise money, right? Like we have this incredible background. Like it's going to be so easy, no problem. And so we started to fundraise, and fundraising was an absolute nightmare. Like I don't remember what year it was, 2023, September. It was like after the summer, like pre-seed investing was dead. Like no one, like the AI stuff was coming on, and like no one knew what the future was, and like nobody wanted to invest. And so time went on, and it was like, holy shit, okay, we're not getting money, but we have the best people, and we can't let these people down, and they've got families and they've got kids. And so like that was not an option. And so it started with me selling, like, I used to have like a watch collection because I'd split it, I saved up, and I bought my oldest a watch when he was born. And like when I got my first job at Shopify, I bought a really nice watch. So it started selling watches. And I was like, okay, selling watches to run payroll now. What the hell is going on? That happened for a month maybe. And then it went into, holy shit, like we're still here. We're building a product. It's amazing. We still don't have money. And investors are like, you're still too early. So then I started to sell all of our Shopify stock, all of my Split It stock. And then it's like, okay, another month goes by and it's like, okay, we're getting close to a resemblance of a product. But one of the values that we had at Reactiv from day one was we think big, but don't compromise. So me and Mike are like, Mike, I need something. I need to be able to sell something so I can tell investor that we have revenue. And he's like, I can do that, but then we're going to branch off the code and it's going to create a nightmare later. And I'm like, okay, don't do that. Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to figure this out. And then is wild. And then my wife, I met my wife at Shopify, actually. She's been there for 10 years now. It's like, okay, well, she has some stock. So now we're selling her stock.
Oh, no.
And we're selling that stock. And then it's like, okay, I've got, I had a whiskey business, I had a wine business, I had all these different companies that I was running and, things that I built up over the years. And it's like, okay, well, I'm selling portions of that. I'm stepping away from this or bringing someone here. It was a wild, wild journey. And then eventually we got the first version of the product built and it was so good. It was like,
that's cool.
This works. This is such a great product. This is going to work for brands. We started to sell customers and then the money came in. And, that was incredibly tough as a founder. It was painful. Like if you ever saw me at like the third, we do payroll at the 15th and the last day of the month. If you ever saw me on like the 30th or the 28th of the month, I was miserable trying to figure out how I'm going to make payroll. But we did every time. And like we bet the farm on it. And I had 2 little kids at home and like my wife was fully aligned with it and like never ever was like,
wow,
hey, are we making the right decision? It was always, we believe in the team. Another value is we trust our team that we have here at Reactiv. We have 5 really, really great values. One is we trust our team, and we always had trust that our team was building the right. Another one is we build the right product at the right time. Holy shit, I'm pretty good at these values, Dave.
Good.
Emily, our head of people, will be very proud. But I think it was a lot of those values that I would just remember and bring myself to. And it's like, we are going to figure this out. And then at the same time, I always thought back in the best companies I worked for, like Shopify, and it was the same thing. It was, we're going to make commerce better for everyone. Don't be an asshole. Like those things always just stood out to me. And so I think when you're building a company, it's so important to have great values, align on those values with your founders. And that's what's going to help you get through those dark times. And if you believe in those values to put them on paper and tell your company about them, and you hold yourself to those values, I think good will always come from that. And as long as you're generating value and you know what that flywheel looks like, ours is build value for customers, so customers install the app, build value for businesses to show them positive ROI, and then our revenue target for our company. And that's this massive flywheel. And we feel like if we do those things very, very well all the time, then the money just comes, the money follows. It's kind of the third thing in the cycle. But that's kind of been our mantra ever since we started.
That is absolute guts. That is definitely a founder who believes in the mission and the vision of what they are doing. I think that is almost somewhat necessary in order to be successful, just in general, because that happened at the very beginning years. But like you can look through almost any company and they all come up against something like that at some time in their company, where it's like the founder basically has to say like, you either believe in this or you don't. And if you don't believe in it, it's just not going to last. You have to believe in it that well. I like this idea of like mission, vision, values so much now. Once we implemented it at our business, I implemented it in my family as well. And I'm like, I'm printing off what is our family mission, vision, and values, because I just think it aligns us so well.
I think, if I had to like put, what is the culmination of your life, or what are the things, I imagine this when I'm dying at the age of 80 something. I don't think I'm going to live that long. Whenever I die, I imagine I'll look back on all these things, and it always comes down to the values. So if I think about growing up, I don't have too many memories of growing up. I was born in India. I moved to Canada when I was 5. We weren't super well off. My mom stayed at home. My dad worked. But I always remember the values that my mom taught me, which was like, if you're going to start something, you're going to finish it, like never lie, like all these great values. And I think, like you said, it applies in family, it applies in work, it applies, throughout your life. And I think if you really believe in those values and you trust those values, you will, kind of sound like a religion now, doesn't it? I don't even know. This
but
is for conversation.
But it is good. And I love that that's what stuck with you from your mom. You learned good values from Shopify. You've also seen how not to run a business, from what I understand as well. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. At some point in your career, I think you need to work for a company that isn't doing well. I think you learn a lot more from a company when the company fails than when a company does good. Yeah. And so I worked for one company that most definitely failed. And we didn't do anything right. I don't think we had any company values. There was a lot of smoke and mirrors. We had a good product. I think that was the worst part, is we had a good product and, it was working really well for a lot of customers. But on the business side, and it's nice that, my co-founder was also there with me. So when we started Reactiv, we just wrote down, what are we never going to do here? And we didn't keep those. What are we never going to do here is we're kind of like goldfish. We forgot those. We just turned those into the positive version of things, which is like, what are we going to do? And what are those values that we're going to do? And what are we going to hold people accountable for? And I think every company needs to do that. Otherwise, I think just working feels stale. Just the day-to-day feels stale. It can feel like Groundhog Day when it's like New Year, same mission. And people are like, oh, that's boring. But like, if that mission has such strong values and is generating, value for the business, for the people that you're selling the business to, like that is a strong mission. Like that is a great mission. And staying true to that year over year, like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But as a company, I think every company needs to set those missions, those values. I know it might feel like a weird thing to do at first, but during the bumpy times that every company has, that is what's going to get you through it.
You said you're a goldfish and you forgot what you wrote down for these. But what's one very important lesson that you're like, this is a moment that I will never forget, and we made sure that we were not this way?
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I mean, there was several of those, and I think that was what went into we think big but don't compromise. So whether you're a SaaS business, you're an e-com business, you're in a relationship, anything in life, there's always an easy decision and a hard decision. And it's, one is sometimes the easy decision is the right decision, and sometimes like analysis paralysis, you don't want to go down that. But sometimes doing the thing that takes a little bit longer, but building either the better product or, for example, I'm thinking, you have a lot of people that sell products and they run e-com stores. It's like, hey, we sell a leather goods, we sell this product, and maybe this batch of products arrived and it's not perfect, but we have a big sale coming up. Do we sell that product or do we wait and rerun it? And maybe we're a little bit late to that sale. Maybe we don't hit that deadline, but no one receives a bad product. I think at the last tech company I worked with, we always made the easy choice. We always chose to, and I'll give you a little example from my world, is when we're building integrations, we're building, things that connect to a loyalty platform or reviews platform. We have two paths that we can build it. We can build it for one specific merchant, which is easy to do, and it'll probably take 3 days. Or we can build it for the platform so that everyone can use it, but it'll take 8 days because there are niche cases and nuances that we need to align for. We need to roll it out on the platform level. At the last company, we always took the easy choice. We said, okay, we're going to build it for this one customer. It's going to allow us to go fast and break things. And boy, did we go fast and break things. With Reactiv, we really take the second approach. It's, okay, this is going to take a little bit longer. Let's set that expectation from the beginning, but we know this is going to be rock solid. And so that was, the whole thesis for we think big, but don't compromise, is even when that easy thing is right there and it's so easy, it's probably easy for a reason, try and resist it as much as you can. And you can't always do it as well, But we try and make the hard decisions that people don't want to, because usually as well, when you try and generate value for a business, they can build a mobile app themselves. I mean, if I wanted the leather goods, I could do it myself. I can go on Etsy, I can go on Alibaba. Like, in this world that we live in today, everything is accessible. And so if we're making this choice for the business, what would that business want? What would that customer pick? And they're going to pay us for this value. So we always take the bit of the high choice here, or the high road. And I think that's been like pivotal for Reactiv.
Have you ever heard the poem Choose Your Hard? I don't know if that's the name of it, but it's like basically working out is hard, being out of shape is hard, choose your hard, right? And like it goes through a whole bunch of scenarios. And I'm hearing this where you're like shipping, like let's say missing your sale deadline because you have the product that's not good. That's hard. Like, but then shipping out bad products so that way you have a bunch of customers that return it and talk about how bad you are on social media and never buy from you again. That's also hard. Choose which hard you want to deal with.
It's never worth it. I don't think it's ever worth it. Yeah.
I want to get into who is Ras Correia, because I think it's fun to get into the personal side of who you are. You talked a little bit about your mom, but let me go back. You describe yourself as irrationally, maybe not you, Zach described you as irrationally optimistic. I should clarify that. You told me that your favorite quote in life is "There's no such thing as problems, only solutions." Where did you get that quote from, and why do you think that you are as irrationally optimistic as you are?
That's hilarious. I got that quote from my best friend's girlfriend. And she's this amazing, super upbeat human being. Like, I love being around her. She's so fun. She's hilarious. They just moved to France. I miss them so much. But she actually told me that quote many, many years ago, and it always just stuck with me. And I was like, I do that all the time. I just didn't have a thing for it. And I was like, Emma, where did you get it? And she's like, it's from Franklin, the TV show for kids.
The turtle?
And I was like, oh my God, I've been telling people this. She just she's very French. She just smiles and laughs at me. She's like, what do you want me to say? And I'm like, oh, that's hilarious. But, I think in life, and it kind of goes back to just choose your hard. Yeah. Every single day we face so many different challenges, whatever those challenges might be. And some are easy and some are really difficult and some change your perspective on things. But there's always a solution, right? There's always, even when you got a gun to your head, there's 50 things you can do. I always feel that way. And I think another thing that I will never let happen is do not die. That was another founder that I was talking to. He's like, that's all you got to do. Just don't die. And he's like, just keep going, just keep chugging along and you'll figure it out. And I feel like that's always been the case, no matter whether it's been problems in life, problems with friends, problems with your partner, problems with kids, problems with your business. There's two ways to kind of think about that. You could either think oh shit, how am I going to deal with this? Yada, yada, yada. Or you could think about okay, this is the hand I'm dealt. How am I going to fix this? What am I going to do? How do I get out of this? And my brain has just always been like that. Ever since I was a kid. I think it was probably just again, it probably goes back to my mom. And we didn't have a lot growing up. And I don't even know, I'm not cool enough to know these days, what is cool or oh, you have this, you're cool. But back in the day when I was in elementary school, it was what video game console do you have? Uh-huh. And I remember the PlayStation Portable had come out, the PSP, I'm aging myself. And everyone was like, oh my God, I got to get one. And so it was my birthday. And I was like, Mom, I want the PSP. And she's like, I remember it was $350 back then, CAD. And
it's a lot.
It was a lot of money. And she's like, yeah, not happening. And she's like, go get it yourself. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, go get a job and get it. And I think that's what made me get the paper route. And so I've just always been in this position where I haven't had what I wanted. And so I've just had to come up with well, how am I going to get it? What am I going to do to get it? What do I need to do to get it? And just kind of be creative. So I started as a paper boy. I was in Kumon for a long time. I finished Kumon. I got a job at Kumon in high school and I was doing paper route in Kumon. And then I was about to finish high school and I was like, well, I need a job to pay for university. I have to pay for school. That wasn't something I grew up with. And so I applied for the AT&T, it's called Rogers. And I do the interview and like I put a suit on. It was kind of weird. I don't know why I did that for a retail job, but I did. And I went in, I interviewed really, really well. And then she called me to give me the offer. And I'm like, perfect. She's like, send over your information, your SIN. And then she's like, so your credit check failed. And I'm like, what? And she's like, well, you're not 18 yet. Like I can't hire you. And I was like, and so I remember her perfectly. Her name was Maria. And she worked for Rogers. Maria, if you're listening, she's probably not. She probably doesn't even remember me. Called me on my birthday 3 months later and gave me the job.
Wow.
Which was insane. And then so I worked at Rogers, which was like a commission sales job selling phones and MasterCards and TV. And I absolutely hated the job because you're selling services to old people or people don't want your solution and you're charging them lots of money for it. But it paid commission. And I was like, well, here's my solution for paying for school. Like I can sell more cell phones and then I have my school paid for this year. And then I could sell more and I can buy lunch and I can sell more and then I can go out for dinner. And so I always just kind of saw life that way. It's like, oh, I don't have this, but what can I do to get there? And so I did that for a while. I started the beef jerky company. Ended up selling that to my two friends, started working at Shopify, I think it's just been that culmination of, I see something and I'm like, I like that. I want that. How am I going to get that and figure that out is like the most easy sense to think about it. But, deeper problems, everything in life, it applies to everything.
Mm-hmm. We talked about kids. I have 3 kids, 15, 12, and 10. Yeah, right. It's like, this is
just so young.
So fast. Well, thank you. And one of the things that I talk to them about is whenever they've got a problem, and I say this to myself as well, is this a solvable problem or an unsolvable problem? Because it feels, especially to teenagers, as if this is the end of the world. Nothing could be, worse than this situation that I'm in right now. But when you get them to ask that question, it's like, well, it's a solvable problem. It is, right? Because every problem is a solvable problem. It's very rare that you're going to actually we have yet to come up with one that we're like, yeah, this is an unsolvable problem.
Yeah.
And once you have that frame of mind and you say, okay, so it is a solvable problem. What are we going to do about it? And I want to ask you this then, how do you find those solutions to those problems that you're into? Do you find it better to sit and think and put together like spreadsheets? Or are you more like I'm just going to take one step and I'm going to let that step lead me to the next step and that step lead you to the next step? There's 2 different ways to go about it.
Wow. I haven't even thought about it like that because I think my body is just like fight or flight and I just do and I don't think about it. I think it depends on what the problem is. I think, if it's a business problem, and say it's a revenue problem, I'm opening up the spreadsheet, I'm going into the model, and I'm like, okay, let's start playing around with numbers. What can we do here to make this happen? How can we reduce costs, et cetera, et cetera? How can we raise more money? Sometimes it's like, well, we've reduced costs. We can't over optimize. I'm also, I think a lot of people are very much afraid of if something's not perfect and they they don't do the good. I'm very much like, just do the good. It's fine. Like this is good enough. We don't need to over optimize this or waste time on this. And so for those types of problems, I will whip out a spreadsheet and I will go to town on it. Or like if we're planning a family vacation and it's like, okay, we have 7 people in this and that and flights. I'm like the group planner in our friend group.
There's always one. Yeah.
I'm unfortunately that person. And I put that spreadsheet together and like everyone can vote on the hotel and then we pick it. And like I take care of all that. So I very much do that. It's very type A. I do that. And then for other problems, that some people would be like, oh my God, that's catastrophic. Sometimes I do it one thing at a time. I'm like, let's just focus on what's the smallest thing we can do to make this a little bit better. And it just keeps getting better and better and better. And I also think, it's never that bad. And I'm saying that even in hindsight of the struggles that we went through of like starting our company or, the things from my early life, there's always a solution. There's always something. It might just, and it goes back to what you said, choose your hard. I think you just have to make hard choices sometimes, but there's always a solution there, even when it doesn't look like it.
Yeah. No, that's really good. You like mechanical things, watches, cars, etc. You had to sell some of your watches. If Is there one watch that you miss the most? So you're like, I really wish I had this one again. Or is there one that you've got your eye on? You're like, I kind of want to start this collection back up.
Oh my God, watches is such a dark rabbit hole. I think a lot of my hobbies started out they started a long time ago, but like COVID very much amplified them when you're
Yeah.
sitting at home. I was a director for a public company. I was making a lot of money. We couldn't travel. We just had our first kid. And you're sitting at home and you're like, well, what's my next passion project going to be? And like, I got an uni and I started making pizza at home. I went through that phase.
Love that.
We did that for a long time. Watches has definitely been one of those. I don't miss any of the watches I sold. I think I don't even ever, I mean, I do think about them sometimes if like watches comes into the conversation, I'm like, oh, that's nice. But then I think about like what it meant to sell those and start the business and where we are today, now going through like our third financing round and like we're growing so rapidly. I know that it was always worth it and I'll do it a million times over. If there was a watch that I wanted to get, do you have one, William?
I'm not a watch guy. I have an Apple Watch and I barely wear that. So
I think it's a Patek Philippe that I've had my eye on for a long, long time. And I think maybe one day when Reactiv IPOs, that'll be the day when I get to buy that watch. I think that'll be a very, very special day. But I only do that when there's something special. So when my first kids were born, both my boys, I got a watch. When I got my first big kid job, I got, not a paper route or selling cell phones. I got a watch.
Jeez. Selling these watches was not just selling a collection. You were selling memories too.
Yeah. It was insane. But 100% worth it. 100% worth it.
Do you think that your love for some of these mechanical things, do you think that plays into the way that you approach building businesses or even building a family?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've always been into it as a kid. I actually have, these podcasts are crazy. I should do more of these, but when you ask really good questions. You're good at this, William. But like, I just had a memory flood back about like mechanical things of like when I was a kid. I was still in India, so I must have been like 4 or 5. And there's this photo. My mom and dad have it. It's me. They got me this big like drive-in car. You know, one of those cars that you can drive in as a kid.
The plastic one that was like red and yellow.
Yes. It wasn't that one. This had some sort of like engine or something.
Okay, so like a Power Wheel.
Maybe a Power Wheel, like
something like that.
A junior Power Wheel. Okay. And I remember I rode it around for a couple of days. I think I got it for my birthday. I took it apart. And like one day I just got a screwdriver. I took the whole thing apart.
I love it.
And like poked around with it and broke it, and it was all over the phone or all over the floor. And there's a photo of me and my brother like tinkering. And then I put it back together, and I think I just always had, like, my parents probably still wish I was an engineer, but I've always had, a thing for mechanical things and opening things up. I always want to know how things work. I have a really obsessive personality. Like if there's a question or I'm thinking about something, I will not stop until I know everything about that subject. So like, you could just say like a watch and give me a reference on it, and I'll tell you what company that's from and like when it came out. I know everything about that. Or like cars is like very, very much the same thing. Like have a really big passion for that. And I think that's why I got so excited. And I think that's why I got a job at Rogers is I used to love cell phones and I used to love the newest technology, and the leaps were so much bigger back then. Like now the new iPhone, what do we got? Like now we got less cameras. We took away
right.
But like it was always so big and there was always these new cool features. And I grew up being like a camera nerd too. I was a videographer and photographer for weddings. I probably had to buy something really expensive, and so that was the job I wanted. Or I was into photography and I was like, well, I better start making money, otherwise I can't buy these cameras. Like, what's the point? It's you're kind of seeing the pattern. I do this over and over again. But I think that's probably why I'm on the whole mobile app thing, and I'm on being on the latest iPhone and building the most slick, beautiful experiences, and then taking an in-person thing at a stadium or your retail store and doing something cool. I think that has just always been in me. And for the last 30 something years in the world that like you and I grew up in, that's kind of what's always centered me. That's what I've always cared about. And it's cool and amazing that I get to do that as a job now. And I get to buy a new iPhone every year, and that's a business expense. That's like the
For
coolest thing
sure.
ever. It's pretty funny.
You and I have so much more in common than I even realized. Because, okay, going back to you said you were 4 or 5, so you're a little younger than me. You were smarter than me, apparently. But I was about 5 or 6. I remember being in kindergarten, and I would sit in the back of the bus taking RC cars apart and using the motors to build things. And it was just one of those things that I did. It's like if I got an RC car for my birthday, I maybe played with it for a day before I had that thing, take it apart, strip down for parts, and just building stuff with it.
I would do the exact same thing.
I love it. And then you said you were doing wedding photography. I was not officially the wedding photographer. My wife was, but I was her co-shooter. And so I've probably shot, I don't even know, 20, 30 weddings myself as well with her. And it was a really fun way to go from, let's just say, like, there's the logic of the mechanical, and then there's the creative side too, and being able to like visually see things. And it's like, I love blending both of those worlds.
I was always bad at the creative side. Were you good at the creative side?
Not as well as her. I would say I was good at the creative side of objects. So I would take pictures of like some of the stuff that was there. But
Yeah.
I sucked at taking pictures of the people. And so I usually was just the one holding the reflector for her as she took pictures of the people.
You were doing the B-roll. I don't know. I mean, it has to be something. I don't think it's DNA. I think it has to do with those types of early jobs and something that makes people the way they are. But now as a dad, I think the scariest thing for me is how do I do that for my kids? How do I
Mm,
get them to have that same sort of drive? How do we make sure and even from, outside of even kids, even like employees at work and, building the business, we have 31 employees now, which is insane.
congrats.
That all look up to me. How do we make sure we build the best company for those people? And how do we make sure that we give them that space to breed and thrive, but also give them direction? I think out of doing all the things that we're talking about, that is the stuff that keeps me up at night is what am I doing to my kids? How am I building my company? How do I give people the passion and the drive to want to work here, right? We spend so much money hiring all these incredible people that could work for any company out there, but
Mhm.
how do we make sure they want to stay at Reactive and build here and build the future? That kind of stuff keeps me up. I don't have the solution just yet for that.
That sounds like the start of part 2 of this podcast. I feel like there's a lot that we could unpack there about just how do we set these things up for our employees, for our families. I'm in the same boat as you. I think we actually just had our 20th employee start here a week or two ago.
Wow. Congrats.
And like you said, that's the part that keeps me up is it's like, how do I make sure that I provide enough direction to where it's exciting and give them the space to do that, but then also, not step on them. The best advice that I have been given on that was from Dave Mortensen. He's the founder of Anytime Fitness, if you're familiar with the gym franchise, co-founder there. And he said, basically, it's like you have to let them make mistakes. And I think that's so important for kids too. It's like you have to let them get hurt. You have to let them make mistakes. You have to let them experience the world because that's what you and I did.
Yeah.
I think there's another quote by Alex Hormozy, I believe. I don't know if he's the one who started it, but at least I've heard him say it. Something along the lines of we want our kids to be strong, but we don't want them to go through things that make them strong. We want them to be patient, but we don't want them to go through things that make them patient. And the reality is if you want them to have those characteristics, you have to let them go through those experiences that give them those characteristics.
That's amazing. I mean, that's 100%. And I think we got to give ourselves the grace to fail.
100%.
Same thing too, right? We just always try to protect ourselves as human beings. Like our innate nature is take care of ourselves, take care of the people that we love, take care of the people that work for you. Yeah, that's the hardest part.
It really is. I have really enjoyed talking to you and getting to know you here. If people wanted to work with you or follow you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, Instagram's basically family. Like I said with SMS too. I'm pretty, like family first kind of thing. And so I don't have a public Instagram. I think my co-founder Zach does, and we have a Reactiv one as well. But I'm on LinkedIn. So Ross Ross Correia Correia on LinkedIn. I'm always on LinkedIn. I respond to almost all the DMs I get on LinkedIn.
That's
I say
aggressive.
that now,
Good
and
job.
everybody says that. And I just even say like not interested, or if it's
Sure.
someone's, just saying something, I really try and respond. And then sometimes there's some total diamonds in the rough and people just want to work and collaborate and do cool stuff, which I think is great. But yeah, always on LinkedIn.
No, that's great. Well, again, Ross, it's been really fun learning from you, learning about you. I appreciate your time and your wisdom here today.
Appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for having me, William. This was so much fun. You're really good at this. And like I had a couple like moments where I'm like, oh, I like completely forgot about that and like completely taken back by it. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you everyone for listening. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to the Up Arrow podcast with William Harris. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.